Let's see what we got.
Hey everybody, this is Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man. And if you want to get your money's worth, stay right here because you're listening to Knockouts and Three Counts. And remember, everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man.
This is Don West here, and I'm telling you, Knockouts and Three Counts is the podcast, baby. Make sure that's the one you check out, because, buddy, like me, they're the real deal, baby.
This is Jake the Snake Roberts. Just letting you know, you need to listen to Knockouts and Three Counts, or you'll see that damn snake again.
This is the Ring of Honor World Television Champion, a.k.a. Shane T, boy, the baddest champion you ever seen, boy. And you're listening to Knockouts and Three Counts.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Kyle's not here. Knockouts and Three Counts. And I know you're probably thinking, like, who the hell is this guy doing the intro? It's been a while. It's your boy Dev. I'm here back in town, and thought I'd jump on while I had the opportunity to be back on the show, man. Kyle's going to be here in a second. He's running a little bit late, so he told me to go ahead and get this thing started. Corey, it's good to officially meet you, sir.
Yeah, I was going to say as well. Very nice to officially meet you, even though, you know, under weird times, under weird circumstances, it is what it is. But, you know, nice to finally, you know, get to know you a little more, at least.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be fun, man, to actually be on the show with you. We did like one video, but it was like spliced together. But yeah, definitely looking forward to it, man. And let me just say thank you for holding the ship down, man, while, you know, things have been going on my end, man. So appreciate you, brother.
Hey, it ain't that hard, man. You know, you got a little interest in the game. It ain't that hard. Just, you know, come on here and talk a little shit about it once a week, you know?
All right. Wait, real quick, man. Is there anything you want to say before Kyle gets in here? Because I know he doesn't let anybody talk. So here's your chance, man.
Damn, off the top. That should be the segment. We should just delay him 5 minutes every week and just have the segment off the top.
Like, here's your chance, man.
No, honestly, man, we have a whole event planned kind of for this week with kind of the wrap up for the year and stuff like that. And I kind of can't wait to get into it. We just, like you said, we got Kyle waiting to reset his internet and stuff. But other than that, man, how's Texas treating you? How's the life on the other side of the show? Well,
the most important thing is I don't have to deal with snow anymore. That's the most important thing. But no, life's pretty good down there, man. I wish, you know, my work schedule was a little bit, you know, lightened up so that I could do the show more, man. But we're working on that, man. But for the most part, everything is good.
I know that feeling. I've been trying to slow down a little bit over the last year, so I, you know, can enjoy these kids while I got them young. So I'm not the dad that's complaining when I'm 40 that I didn't get to spend no damn time with my kids. So, you know, trying to take it into consideration early, you know.
Corey love the kids, man.
Yeah, dude.
Well, while we're waiting on Kyle, man, let's go ahead and preview what we're going to do on this show. Like you said, it's more of the year wrap-up show. We're going to hit several topics. We're going to talk about our top 3 fights of the year, the top 3 wrestling matches of the year, our top 3 wrestling moments. We're going to name our fighter of the year, male and female. We're going to name our wrestlers of the year, male and female, and our breakout stars. This is going to be pretty interesting because I don't know, some of the people might wait. There's a hand.
Oh, there's a hand. There's some glasses. There's some other glasses on an arm.
There's a connection to audio. Do we have a Kyle? No. Do we lose him?
We're halfway ahead of Kyle.
All right, but yeah, this has been a crazy year, 2020. So I'm very interested in hearing what everybody has as their moments of the year and their fighters of the year and so on and so forth. And I think this is going to be a very interesting year wrap up, and it's been a very interesting is the word we use, year.
Yeah, that would be Normally, interesting would be like a word that you don't always use to describe something, but it's very fitting in this circumstance. That's for sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
interesting can be overused, but no, it definitely applies to 2020.
Yeah, there's no denying that. I mean, just with everything, the ability. One question I got for you with it, like you were saying, being so busy with work, and on top of that, with the world being as crazy as it is, how much have you been able to keep up on the goings on, as one would say?
Oh man, well, as far as wrestling and MMA goes, it's kind of up and down, man. I'm pretty sure we talked about it on the show about how I don't watch WWE anymore for personal reasons. So it's gonna make it's gonna like shrink the pool for me a little bit. And with MMA, I've been able to watch a good portion of it, but a lot of times I'm so exhausted from working 6 days a week that I'm in and out. So I've done a little bit of research, to kind of keep myself abreast of, so I can actually do this topic. But we'll see how this goes, man. It should be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about yourself, man? I know Kyle was telling me that you're more of the fighting guy. Wrestling is kind of, you dabble a little bit, man. So what has it been like for you?
Well, that essentially sums it up. But to get a little deeper in the topic, I've been very, I like to say the phrase, I've been very balls deep in MMA now for about like 5 years, like from first fight till the last fight of every damn Saturday, essentially. And then trying to watch all the dumb, middle week promotions, the LFAs and all the everything else, all the goings on.
Oh. What up, motherfuckers?
Oh.
I'm in the car because my internet took a shit. My car took a shit, but I am happy to be here on Knockouts and Knockouts. I will get the shit done somehow or another. How the fuck are you guys doing?
Why are you yelling, sir?
I've had a hell of a day. I was driving home and got a flat tire, and then I got home and the internet took a shit. I just wanted to talk about some wrestling and MMA with my friends, man.
It always
what did I
happens
miss so far?
Day, right?
Oh, no, me and Corey getting to know each other, man. Trying to, make sure your new work husband is up to snuff. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
Well, as long as he's the work wife, I'm okay with the nicknames.
So did you guys at least let him know the real reason why we're here today, and that's to give our year-end awards and all that stuff for Knockouts and 3 Counts?
Absolutely.
Look, I know it's been a while since I've been on here, man, but I'm not that rusty, man. People know the topics we're going to be hitting, man. So it's up to you to go ahead.
I didn't see any in the beginning. I'm just making sure we're good. So what topic do you guys want to talk about first? Do we want to talk about the wrestling side, or do we want to talk about the MMA side?
Let's go wrestling, man. I think this is going to be the most interesting one, seeing as how I've only watched half of the promotions.
All right, so then you pick the first category.
Let's go wrestlers of the year, male and female.
Wrestler of the year. Okay. For me, this was actually an easy pick. For doing a male and female, for me, wrestler of the year has to be Roman Reigns, and I'll explain why. Roman Reigns has to be wrestler of the year for me because
You can't just leave us waiting like this, Kyle. He's really trying to build up the suspense on this one. I think that's what's going on.
I know. Let's Yeah, that's a great point, Kyle. Yep.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just gonna say right now, my list is the same.
You go with Roman Reigns as well?
Yep, fills up my whole list. There we go.
Well,
he let his hair down a couple times and turned around, so I can put him on the female side too, right?
Hey man, it's your list, man. I'm not. Okay, while Mr. Collison gets his car internet situation together, man, you go with Roman Reigns on the male side. I'm gonna go with Mr. John Moxley. I think
Okay.
You got him back? Yeah, I'm gonna go with John Moxley. Like I said, I haven't been watching a lot of WWE. I've heard about Roman Reigns' run. I felt like this is probably the run he should have had, 5 years ago. But for wrestling I've actually watched, I gotta say John Moxley. I think guys had an incredible year. He won PWI's Wrestler of the Year. He's number one on that list. So I'm gonna go, man. John Moxley. He had some great matches during these weird, hard pandemic times, and he's basically carried this brand new company and put them on the map. So I'm gonna go with Mr. John Moxley as my Wrestler of the Year on the male side.
Interesting.
Well, on the women's side, who do you have, sir?
So women's side, I'm going to be extremely biased off the top just because of the ability, and we just had her on the show a couple months ago, for her to be consistently climbing from almost being not a nobody by no means, but
Right.
very limited wrestling skills to now going on AEW every week, getting her regular show time and stuff. I have to go with Lindsay Snow. Not necessarily as my number one, but I don't necessarily have them 1, 2, and 3. But off the top of my head, just what she's been able to do in the last couple of weeks. I know it hasn't been necessarily winning bouts, but the fact that she's turned her career into something where she's, getting some real play time, though, like I say in our weekly shows all the time when we have wrestlers on, for me, it's not necessarily the performances they go out there and put on. It's the effort that they put into it, and the ability for them to want to progress their career is what stands out to me more often than not.
I definitely like the answer. Lindsay, and maybe it's because we had her on the show a few times and we got to know her a little bit. She's cool, really cool people, man. But
yeah.
I'm definitely pulling for her, man. Seeing her on AEW Dark every week. I know she did like a segment on Raw at one point during the year, and we've seen her just out here grinding, winning Bloodsport. I'm definitely a big fan of Lindsay Snow, man. And I'm still looking forward to getting that tattoo from her. We're gonna have to make this happen one day, man.
I was talking about it in our interview with her, saying that he can't wait to make his way down to Florida just to try. Oh, back in the house. Are you just taking us on a tour, Kyle? Is that what's going on?
I've already tried to explain this to you, but you fuckers don't read messages. But anyway, what I was trying to say is this was a really easy pick for me to make when it comes to Superstar of the Year. For me, Roman Reigns, hands down, has to be Superstar of the Year, and I'll explain why. Because if we're talking about an overall body of work in wrestling, it's kind of hard not to say Roman, because Roman was, for a long time, the one bright spot on the two main shows for WWE. You can say what you want about NXT and all that, but Roman is on Fox, which obviously is a much bigger network than USA. Okay. So for him to be able to do that, and then, have it to where you go from a year ago before, he had his bout with leukemia, correct?
I think so.
I think it's leukemia. Anyway, he had his bout with leukemia, and everybody hated him until that leukemia thing happened, right or wrong. Nobody gave two shits what he did.
That'll definitely, that's the type of thing that'll change opinion on somebody,
Well, right, but that's not even what I'm saying. But that's not even what I'm saying. Not even with the leukemia part. The leukemia part made him human again to the fans, but when he came back, and to have him go with Paul Heyman, who was the guy who was his arch rival's fucking dude for years, and to have him finally turn heel like we've been saying for years and years and years, bro, it has to be Roman Reigns. On the female side of things, this one was another easy one for me, and I'm going to go with somebody who's not in WWE. She ain't in AEW. I'm going to go with Thunder Rosa.
Well,
Thunder Rosa to me has to be the women's superstar of the year, because she showed up in AEW when she was still the NWA champion, has been doing her thing all over the place, doing her thing with MMA and fighting and all that all at the same time. And she's put on more good matches on the female side of things, and I feel like brought more eyes to wrestling for women this year than anybody, really, especially when you also consider that she's got Mission Pro down there in Texas. She's got Mission Pro down there in Texas, which is an all-female promotion. Can't really say there's anybody that's not doing more for women's wrestling right now than Thunder Rosa. Devin, what do you think?
Well, I already said John Moxley was my pick for the year. PWS #1. So I roll with him, and carrying that company that when he won the title had only existed for really 5 months, and to take them to where they are now, had to go with Mr. Moxley, and Moxley's run also helped set up where Kenny Omega is right now. So John Moxley, and on the women's side, that's what I'm going to get to now. This might surprise some people, seeing as how I'm not watching WWE, but I have to go with Sasha Banks, man. And
interesting pick.
And I didn't really get to see it, but hearing about the program with her and Bayley, how basically for a while until Roman Reigns did turn heel, basically from everything that everybody told me, Sasha and Bayley were basically
SmackDown
running the company. I mean, they were basically the best thing in the whole company at that point.
As far as storylines, problem is that was the only thing that hurt that whole run, was just the fact that they were they let that go so long because they were trying to get all the mileage they could out of it, that it almost got like that piece of bubble gum. It was still good, but
but she was tag champions for a while, and they both were carrying championships, and she's currently the champion now. And above all else, great appearance on The Mandalorian, man. Shout out to Sasha Banks for
I was
working
going
her
to say
way
that's pretty big
power
moves out here.
Yeah,
Star Wars universe, sir, and she did a great job too, man. If you guys don't watch Star Wars, if you guys think it's nerdy, I don't want to watch that crap, watch The Mandalorian. It's just good television, regardless of what universe it is, and it'll make you open your mind up. But Sasha Banks did a great job on there.
I think that kind of era of the whole Star Wars being nerdy thing's kind of gone aside. I feel like it's more mainstream than most things that are considered not nerdy anymore, if you know what I mean.
I agree.
All right, so we've covered Superstar of the Year. Corey, since Devin picked the first category, I'll let you pick the next one, and I'm pretty sure that means we might be switching over to the MMA side of things, but call me crazy. Which one are we picking first?
I would like to see who your guys' standout fighters of the year was. We'll basically jump
Breakout Fighter or Fighter of the Year?
Fighter of the Year. We'll go right off the top, right off the rip. Who do you guys think was the top tier fighter, male and female? Who's your top?
Well, Devin, I'll let you go first.
For some reason, I think we're all going to have the same answer. I think there's only one answer. If we're talking just MMA, are we including boxing in this as well?
You can. You absolutely can. I didn't factor boxing into mine. You absolutely can.
Okay, if we're going to throw boxing in here too, I think everybody thinks Canelo is the best, but I have to throw Teofimo Lopez in here, man. I feel like he had one of the biggest upsets in a long time.
I agree.
And definitely put his name on the map. So, yeah, did Canelo have the best year? Of course he did. Canelo's the best fighter. He is pound for pound the best fighter in the world. But I think Teofimo Lopez, Canelo basically didn't do anything that we didn't expect him to do. Teofimo Lopez coming in and taking that title from Lomachenko, man.
Yeah.
I think I got to give him the edge, man. Just because I don't want it to be, you can give LeBron James the MVP every single year.
Mm-hmm.
But, you got to, other people, make impacts too. So I give it to Teofimo Lopez as the fighter of the year.
I do not disagree with your point at all, because I think that's a great out of the lines pick, like you said a little bit. My only argument would be that was his only fight throughout the year. And
and that's my issue with it too.
Now, granted, if you're talking,
it's a weird year now. It's a COVID year,
right? But the pick that I'm going to make is going to obliterate that.
And if you're just talking about single performance and single standout star, I completely agree with you. And the fact that he was on the main ESPN platform for that fight really intensified the eyes that were able to see it. 110%. That really was that fight, because of the timing, I feel like goes out of a lot of people's mind, out of sight, out of mind, the time keeps rolling, but that's definitely a good pick.
And like I said, Canelo Alvarez is basically LeBron James of boxing. You can give it to him every single year. Yeah. So, and everybody else, I know who they're going to say is the fighter of the year on the MMA side. So, I thought I'd mix it up just a little bit.
Well, see, I feel like I don't know who everybody's going to say, because arguably you could say, in my eyes, Kazmat Chimaev, the dude that's now rolling through the UFC, has the most viewed highlight ever, yada, yada. Or, in my eyes, my number one pick, you could go with Kevin Holland, just because of yet again, activeness of schedule, his ability to get huge highlight knockouts, even though it wasn't over the highest caliber of opponents. If we're just talking about person that's the standout star of the year, I think that's the number one, in my eyes, at least. What about you, Kyle?
For me, man, there's only one guy that really can be fighter of the year. Honestly, on the of the year caliber, when we're only picking one person, that part of the show was easy for me. The harder part came when we started talking about the top moments and the top fights. That was where it was hard. For me, as far as fighter of the year, on the male side of things, how can it not be Davison Figueiredo?
Because his last fight was a draw. That's what
doesn't matter. Dude, it does not matter in a fight like that. It does not matter in a fight like that. And here's why. It doesn't matter, because like you just said, the exact reason that you and I just said that Teofimo Lopez would be a hard one for us to pick is the exact reason why Davison Figueiredo is the perfect person to pick, because he's the perfect person to pick because he's fought 3 times. He beat Benavidez twice. That Moreno fight, yes, it ended in a draw, but it was a fucking war, and not a fight where it's a draw where sometimes when you see a draw, you see people come out and they'll be like, well, it was a draw, but dude, that guy really lost.
Yeah.
Nobody was saying that towards the champ, or saying that he got saved by a draw in that one. That's a fight that everybody wants to see run back, and Figueiredo himself said he wanted to run back right away. So for me, that doesn't really make him lose stock to me.
And don't sleep on that Perez fight too, with the fact that he ran through the number one contender in the 2 minutes of the first round. I weighed real heavily on that. Those were my 2 arguable number ones, was Davison Figueiredo and Kevin Holland. And I picked Kevin Holland just because I feel like he had the more standout moments, even though I think Figueiredo fought at a higher tier of talent wise. So take that for what it is. But I weigh the fact that Kevin Holland was able to build his star power so much in such a short time. I mean, nobody knew who he was. His first fight of this year was in May, and he rattled off 5 wins in a row, 5-0 throughout the year. It's hard to compete, man. Not a lot of people put up those kind of numbers throughout 7-month period.
No, and I agree. As far as activity and things of that nature, sure, Kevin Holland, I mean, yeah, he can, but I feel like the level of the competition is what's going to change things on that. It can't not. If we're talking about overall fighter of the year, I got plenty to say about Kevin Holland. You just wait till we get to the other categories. That's why there's more than one category. That's why we asked all of you guys to comment on it. And if you're watching this and haven't done so already, hit that motherfucking like button and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss anything. But let us know in the comments if you think we're full of shit. For me, like I said, it's a pretty simple one as far as male fighter. For me, it just comes down to activity, caliber of opponent, and we're talking championship fights. The man won the title and defended the title twice in the same year.
Missed weight in one of them, and one of them was a draw. I weighed real heavily on these picks, I'm telling you. But that's why we're allowed to have opinions. And like I said, again, if you guys don't agree with us or you got different names, let us know in the comments who it is that you think it is. I guess we're going to table the conversation on that one.
since I'm the only one that hasn't picked a category yet.
Well, we didn't say the women's side.
Right. Excuse me. No disrespect to the lady fans, and Heidi, if you're watching, what up, though? Anyway, like I said, if on the female end, like I said, the picks of the year, like for the single person, were like, that was not hard for me. Because again, here we go again. If we're talking female fighter of the year, I'm going to go real quick and simple. How is it not Valentina Shevchenko? How is it not? Who else are you going to put above it?
There isn't much. There isn't much.
In my
just
opinion,
because
look, the only other name that I could see that would make sense would be, I don't know how to say her name, so for all of you that are going to butcher me for saying her name wrong, before you say it, anyways, the Chinese champion, 125, Zhang Weili, is that, I don't know how, Zhang
Weili Zhang.
Yeah, there you go, Weili Zhang. I kind of almost went with her, but because she didn't fight again after that, right. That's kind of what did it for me.
If you want to say quality of fight, that might push her up. Yeah, but it's Valentina.
That's what I thought, man. I just felt like this one was kind of hard not for it to be Shevchenko, because if we're talking about overall resumes, who else on the female end can you really think of that made a splash other than maybe Clarissa Shields? And she didn't even fight. She made a splash just because she said she's going to MMA.
So, well, interesting enough you bring her up, because actually my name comes from the same promotion. I was going a little bit out of the lines. I completely agree with you on the fact that Valentina is more than deserving, but yet again, you can't give the award to LeBron every year. You know, you got to switch it up once in a while. Not to jock off the lines, but
you think Valentina's the LeBron of MMA women? Because I think it would be Amanda Nunes.
I think she won one of those two fights, and I think they need to do a rematch on the third.
Oh, I definitely think they need to run it back for sure. But I mean,
I agree. So with that being said,
where's the bell? I was at one of those fights.
And you got to factor in the size difference between the two. The fact that she's so competitive with somebody who is significantly bigger than her, I feel like weighs big into it as well. But going out of the ordinary a little bit, Kayla Harris,
over Shevchenko,
because she was able to dominate throughout the PFL tournament, which ended, if I'm not mistaken, right at the end of last year. Which, all right, granted, I'm stealing some stuff from 2019. Listen to me, damn it. The fact that she was able to make multiple appearances on completely random promotions, the fact that she was able to build up her name. We're just going on Rising Star of the Year, Fighter of the Year, in my eyes, is Rising Star of the Year. Same type of award.
That was what the Breakout Star category was for.
Yeah, good point.
That's what we made the Breakout Star category for.
Good point. But in my eyes, her ability to kind of cross promotions, put herself out there.
Same as your pick for Fighter of the Year?
Huh?
So does that mean your Breakout Star is the same as your Fighter of the Year pick?
No, not always.
What the? All right, go ahead.
But the fact that she was able to step through multiple promotions, the fact that she was able to run through the tournament so easily, win that $1 million like it was nothing. I feel like she's the next in line. I feel like if she can step her way into the UFC, I feel like she's already very stiff competition for that belt against somebody like Amanda Nunes. And I feel like I agree with you that she is the lioness goat of the women's division, but she wasn't active because she had a child this year. So yet again, can't give any real accommodation to her. But who do you got? You guys both seem so shocked by my pick.
I already
got, Devin?
Oh, I said
He picked Valentina too.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I went with the LeBron James pick on this one, man.
Understandable.
If Nunez had been more active this year, Amanda Nunez is
I feel
quite
like
arguably my favorite fighter, period. So, but she didn't do anything this year, so I had to go with Valentina Shevchenko.
Activity is something that has to be taken into account in these things, especially when we're talking about a fighter of the year category. They just have to be. In my opinion, that the activity has to be weighed, or it's not accurate to me for a fighter of the year. But that's just my personal opinion. All right, so since I'm the only one that hasn't picked a category yet, I'm going to go back to the wrestling side, and I'm going to go top 3 wrestling moments of the year. Now, for these, I'm going to be full transparent. My order isn't like a 1, 2, 3 thing, because this and the wrestling match one, I went so back and forth. So I got 3. They're just not they're not really like any particular order. So for me, there's one is gonna I got it. Okay, I do have a number 1, 2, 3. So I'll start from 3 to 3 and I'll end at 1. Number 3 for me on this one would have to be the Kenny Omega going in the Impact thing. Here's why. Because that single-handedly shook. Hang on one second. Hang on, I'm pausing my thing out.
You're pausing your thing out. I don't.
There you
go.
Oh,
he turned his camera off to pause it out.
I had to check something real quick. All right, 2 of mine, even though they both have to do with AEW, to me they kind of represent different things. The number 3 is going to be Kenny Omega, showing up in Impact. I think that's great because I think that opens the doors to where you could really see a lot of what you used to see back in the 80s, where you could see a guy show up a million different places. Plus, you really, for the first time in years, could create a scenario where you could have a real world champion. Back in the day, man, they would travel from territory to territory to territory and face the top guy there. So, like, you could create that again. That's why that's number 3. And nobody saw it coming. And if you say you did, you're a liar. Number 2 is Sting showing up in AEW.
It's Sting.
Okay.
It's Sting. in my Tony Schiavone voice, with his old man slip-on shoes and all. But dude,
oh, Lord,
what a fucking moment. Okay. I saw the whole winter is coming thing, but I will be the first to admit that got me hook, line, and sinker, because I did not think that was who was going to show up when they said winter is coming. Obviously, you knew somebody was going to show up. I didn't even have somebody in particular that I had picked that was going to show up, but I damn sure didn't think it was Sting, simply for the fact, up until just recently, dude, he still was under WWE contract. Even if they were saying he couldn't wrestle, he was still doing appearances for shit. So he'd have been the last name, but I got to give credit where it's due. They were able to do something, and we've talked about this in our past episodes, which, as I've said, if you haven't watched it, and if you haven't already clicked that big red button in the corner, you need to do so and subscribe, because you would know we were talking about this ahead of time. With Sting, man, I don't know how else to put it. The fact that they were able to keep it that quiet to where it didn't leak. And Devin, you could speak a little more to this, but did you have any inkling that Sting was going to show up?
Not at all. The only reason I knew is because you text me while I was at work when I was in the bubble, trying not to find out anything that happened on AEW. So I found out.
I'm saying you didn't know anything like a few days prior.
No. Like when you text me, it was like, oh, we got to talk about Sting. Like, what the hell? Don't touch Sting, Dad. in this year, whenever somebody texts me about something, I'm like, no, please tell me they didn't die.
That's the first assumption for anybody nowadays, man.
Yeah, man.
How can it not be? Year. I mean, shit. I mean, realistically, how can it not be?
But no, I had no idea that was no idea.
And that's why, like I said, that right there is why that's number 2. And the number 1 and this isn't really a moment, but it's the thing that happened in wrestling. The number one thing that happened in wrestling in 2020, whether it be good or bad, was the fucking quarantine COVID.
Yeah.
Because think about it. Look how many guys move places. Think about the one that I just said. If we didn't run into the situation that we did, what says that Sting ever leaves WWE?
Facts.
Here's another
argue
one.
That,
the Kenny Omega showing up in Impact thing. What says that they were ever going to team up like that had it not gone down the way it did?
It's kind of hard to argue, man.
You know, and too many guys, you had more guys jump ship and move in one day than we've had in 20 fucking years since WCW closed. There has been no bigger shakeup in the last 20 years to wrestling than the quarantine. And I would argue that with almost anybody, because look at all the changes that it's made. Hell, we might not even ever see a live event again because of this. So that has single-handedly changed wrestling. That's why, to me, that has to be the number one thing that happened. I'm not saying I'm happy about it, but if we're talking about the top things that happened in 2020, dude, quarantine and COVID to wrestling is like the biggest thing to happen to wrestling in this year, period.
I absolutely agree with you there. It changed the whole game up, and who's to say what implications it really has on all the other promotions and stuff really starting to gather a foothold in the wrestling, world. Like you said, you're a huge wrestling fan. You don't even watch WWE anymore. I mean, it's with them releasing so many guys. I mean, it really did add a huge boost to all these other promotions because they were able to get some guys that maybe WWE didn't see as A-tier talent, but there's obviously a reason why they were signed there to begin with. You know what I mean? So they had the talent. So,
and just to touch on that real quick, that's definitely one of my moments, the mass releasing of wrestlers at WWE. I've been saying for the longest that WWE had way too much talent and don't know what to do with them.
Yep.
The fact that like Rusev was stuck in this whole Bobby Lashley and my wife triangle thing was like one of the dumbest things I'd ever seen in my life, and I'm like, you're wasting that talent. Well, now that they're not doing house shows because of the pandemic, they had to let some of that talent go. So
yeah,
a lot of that talent got to go to AEW, went to Impact. Some of them showed up are going to be in Ring of Honor and other promotions and stuff like that. So basically, WWE went through this phase where they were just hoarding talent because they didn't want AEW to sign these people. They didn't want.
Well, dude, we heard that firsthand, dude. Think about when Rhino told us that they offered him a 5-year deal to stay instead of going to AEW. Now, again, that's not no disrespect to Rhino. If anyone's got some love for Rhino in this room, it's me. But I mean, look, dude, plain and simple. Like, they were offering anybody that had anything to do with WWE whatever money they wanted to get them to stay. So, I mean, that tells you everything you need to know. That's why, for me, it was number one. We've heard my 1 through 3. Devin, what were your top 3 wrestling moments of the year?
Well, the releases was definitely one of them. I just combined Sting and Kenny Omega into one, and the Winter is Coming show. That might have been the best show of the year. Because
I couldn't even argue that.
Like, I don't know if you guys listen to Eric Bischoff's podcast, 83
Past
Weeks.
guest show.
Facts. But he always talks about how one of the most important things for fans is surprises. That show had 2 of the biggest surprises of the year. Sting and Kenny Omega screwing the company over and, saying, hey, tune in to Impact this Tuesday. Dude, I haven't watched Impact at all this year. Maybe earlier in the year, but this was the first time that I was like, oh my God, I don't have access TV on my I don't have cable. I got like Sling and whatever. And I'm like, oh my God, I got to figure out how I'm going to watch Impact right now. I had not said that since like Matt Hardy was doing Broken Matt. So Winter is Coming was definitely one of the biggest moments of the year, probably the biggest show. And for me, the other big thing is canceling WrestleMania. The fact that
Okay.
the fact that WrestleMania and everything that was going to happen that whole weekend got canceled.
Yep.
I think that's when people really, as far as wrestling fans, I think that's when wrestling fans realized that, hey man, this coronavirus thing is serious, because for them to cancel WrestleMania and WrestleMania weekend, like we were planning on going down there for that, man. We had Airbnbs booked, we had bought tickets for shows and stuff like that. And
We were supposed to get tattooed by Lindsay Snow. Check out the interview there.
Exactly. So the fact that we had to cancel all these plans, and we're just sitting there thinking, like, what the hell is WrestleMania going to be now? Like, what's going to happen now? To me, was one of the biggest things of the year. Corey?
Because of side interest, my number 3 on the list, I guess you could say, is Pat McAfee's impact in NXT. I really think it brought some eyes in that don't normally watch wrestling. Like, it really, I seen Twitter blowing up about it the whole night, the week of, and he gathers some real eyes from people like me who watch a lot of other sports on the outside. And I just love the impact, the fact that he took it super serious, the fact that he went out there, not only had the one match, but went out there in the pay-per-view, really put himself in some danger. And I thought he looked good out there. It was incredibly entertaining to me. That's number 3 on my list. Number 2, not to steal off your pick, but that was going to be my pick. The fact that WrestleMania wasn't a thing. I mean, how big of a thing was that for the whole wrestling world? It's crazy. I mean, off the top of my head, I can't think of the number of it, but there's never been a show canceled before this, correct?
Never.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Well, they didn't cancel the show though. They still did WrestleMania, so they still didn't cancel
but
it.
Behind closed doors, and it was a whole different thing than what they initially had.
Well, sure. Have they ever had to move it to where there was no fans? Sure, but they didn't cancel it.
No, well, that's what I'm referring to, is the fact that they canceled the whole festivities of the whole thing. It wasn't the event that it was initially supposed to be, and really is, for that matter, every other year. The fact that, like you said, how long beforehand had you guys had everything booked just to make sure you guys could get everything going? Exactly. And for them to step out of, and that's essentially them canceling attendance at the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? It's really, it should be my number 1, but I just don't want to steal your pick too hard.
All right, we got to hurry up and pick them because we're getting low on time.
Well, hey, sorry, Mr. Internet Connection.
I know, but I just looked at the time. My bad. Hey, blame it on my flat tire, all right? I can't blame WOW's internet. If WOW hears this, fuck you.
Hey, I am on WOW, and I would like to say, if WOW would like to sponsor this here podcast, my WOW internet is working incredibly. Okay, fast downloads, even faster uploads. It's incredible.
For the brand, man. Good job.
My number 1 wrestling event of the year is just like you. I hate to kind of steal everybody's picks, but it's so obvious what Corona, besides just WrestleMania, what Corona did to wrestling throughout the whole year in general. Not WWE, not anyone in particular. The fact that it completely rearranged the whole way that wrestling is viewed, the way that fans are able to interact with it, the way that it takes away from certain aspects, but then they've tried their best to redo those things in different ways to make it work for them. Limited capacity crowd, screens in the background, fake crowd noise, so on and so forth. It's been such a dramatic change in the way that wrestling's viewed throughout the year. There's nothing else much that tops that. I mean, it's like that in all sports, but I feel like it's tenfold in wrestling. It really made a huge impact in wrestling.
I agree. Well, like I said, man, we got a couple more things left to go. So the next one.
I think we should call it audible, man. Instead of doing top 3 matches and top 3 fights of the year, we should just do fight of the year and everybody just pick one.
Fair point. All right, so since you started it, let's go. What's fight of the year for you?
Oh man, come back to me. Somebody else go. I gotta remember what these guys' names.
Corey, what's fight of the year?
Fight of the year for me on the MMA side, which is an absolute rarity, is a women's bout. And I feel like a lot of people are going to feel that way if they remember the fact that it did take place this year. I believe it was January or February. But that Wiley Zhang versus Joanna Jędrzejczyk fight. I have never seen 2 women want a win in that octagon more than both of them did on the night. They both completely outlived any expectation I had for that fight. I knew it was going to be good going in. I did not expect anything to that level, to be honest with you. It was incredible. It really was. It really showcased every skill that both women had. They both landed a lot of heavy offense, a lot of heavy defense. It was just incredible.
Kyle?
All right. So that was going to be the other one if I didn't pick it. So since you picked that one, I'm going to go another way. For me, fight of the year, and I didn't even, to be 100% fair, I watched this fight as it happened. I loved it as it happened, but as Corey said, it's been a long fucking year, so I forgot about it. But when I was doing my research, Dustin Poirier versus Dan Hooker might be the best fight I've ever seen in my fucking life.
I told you, that was my arguable number 1 and 2 right there. Because even though a lot of people loved on this main event between the 125ers, and I think
I loved it too.
Another huge contender for fight of the year, but that fight, man, it just had so much back and forth. It was a banger. I can't argue with that pick, not even a bit.
All right, Devin, who was fight of the year for you?
Okay, once again, I'm going to the world of boxing. This is a fight that a lot of people might have forgot happened, but to me, this isn't just a fight of the year. This is one of the best fights I've seen over the past 10 years. Jose Zepeda versus Ivan Barakas.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys remember this fight. It was an ESPN card.
Yeah.
Dude, just non-stop action from beginning, knockdowns galore. I think it was like 8 knockdowns in the whole fight, man. Like a lot of people started comparing this to Hagler Hearns from back in the day, man. Just came out of the blocks, just non-stop action. This fight is more for those casual fans. Like people just like watching people get knocked out and get punched in the face. Don't really like defense like that. This is one of those fights that you have to show them. To me, when I heard people talking about it, I'm like, man, it couldn't be like this great fight like everybody was saying it was. No, it lived up to it, man. This is one of the best fights I've seen over the past 10 years. And who the hell is that in the corner?
Man, what's up, man?
This motherfucker, bro. Like, you know, we've been doing the show at the same time for 3 fucking years. At least I had the excuse of my tire going flat and my internet went out. What's your excuse?
Man, fell asleep.
What'd I tell you? See, at least you know your boys here at Knockouts and 3 Counts. Even with a flat tire, I made it. But hey, Kevin.
Hey, better late than never, sir.
Well, we're only fucking got 4 minutes left. But since you're here, you only get one pick because we're running short on time. What was match of the year?
Match of the year for me, I had to say, it had to be Kota Ibushi and what's his name? Shit, what's my man's name? It was I just know it was a G1 final. It was Kota Ibushi and the guy from the one guy with the crazy hair. His name, can't think of his name.
Naito?
Not Naito. From the other group.
Phantasmo?
Oh shit.
Well, he's got Kota Ibushi. Devin, what is your pick for match of the year? Because we're running short.
For me?
Yes. What's
Stadium Stampede? Stadium Stampede. I think people sleep on that match, man. That thing was absolutely awesome.
That was fucking entertaining as shit, and I don't know how Sammy Guevara is still walking. Hey, but Sammy Guevara is in an interview with us that you can check out in that link.
Oh, I got it. It was Kola Bush versus Minoru Suzuki. G1 Super Final 30.
That's a hell of a pick. All right.
Suzuki was in the final?
Yeah,
they're trying to give Suzuki some love over there, bro.
Man, I gotta catch back up on my my New Japan, man.
All right, so for me, dude, the match of the year is out of the way as this sounds, and it's probably not what you would expect for me to pick. This is a toss-up, and there's a couple reasons why. I went back and forth between the Kyle O'Reilly versus Finn Balor match. Because Devin, I know you're not watching NXT, but dude, please do me a favor and watch that.
Okay.
I'm serious. Like, he broke Finn's jaw and everything. It was insane. And I went back and forth between that and a match that Corey, and this is why this is going to be my pick for match of the year. A match that Corey, a non-wrestling fan who self-admittedly doesn't watch wrestling quite like that, he enjoyed it too. We were watching UFC at the same time. So my match of the year is going to be the Young Bucks versus FTR.
That was a hell of a match, man. That was a hell of a match.
It was.
Yeah.
Because that right there is what told me how good of a match that was. Because the fact that a guy who hasn't watched wrestling in how many years can watch that match and not know anything but what I told you as far as these two teams are the two best teams they got. And for him to watch that match and be like, see, if they did more shit like that, I would watch more wrestling.
Yep.
And you know what? I picked the Young Bucks in one of my matches too, though.
Yep.
That's why, like I said, that's what makes it number one.
That was the most like length of time that I had viewed wrestling in years when we watched it that night. And yeah, I can't argue with that pick just because of the fact it was so damn entertaining. It really was. It stuck my eyes to the screen. Literally, we had UFC playing on two different screens, one above, one below. And me being as big of a fan as I am of UFC, I was still choosing to watch the wrestling over it. So I can't argue with that pick, man.
All right. The last set of picks that we got to make on our docket for 2020 is the breakout star of the year. Now, again, I'm going to go through this real quick. For me, the male side, there's no argument. It's Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland won 7 fucking fights in 2020 and made a grip on Dana White and them. And that knockout from Jacare was one of the nastiest things I've ever seen.
Yep.
And on the female side, like I said, the female side, as far as breakout fighters, I'm going to go. Who did I pick? Hold on. Let me check my picks. I already had I picked MMA. Yeah. So breakout star in MMA was Kevin Holland, and in wrestling, I said Thunder Rosa was my breakout star.
Okay.
I picked one for each, and the reason I picked Thunder Rosa is because Thunder Rosa, again, like she did what I've not seen any women's champion in WWE do. Like, I mean, period. She brought credibility to a title, which is what you want from a champion. Period.
Okay, makes sense.
All right. Who's up next? Who's got next? Who got next?
Kevin Holland, for me, had no idea who the hell this guy was until this year. I mean, I know I've like seen him before, but he definitely made a name for himself this year. And well, since we can do either one, I'm gonna go Big Swole.
Really?
Okay.
I like Swole. I like Swole. Don't get it wrong, but I'm surprised at that.
Yeah, you got to realize from the beginning of the year to the end, she was in Shine and came up, made a name for herself in AEW, opened up a pay-per-view, even though it wasn't the best. I feel like in the little time from the end of Shine up until now, I felt like she's definitely made a name for herself to the point where she's in the top 5 in AEW in the women's division. You know she's going to get a title shot sometime soon.
I can see that. Well, Kev, last but not least, man, let us know who your pick. Let me know who your picks are on this.
All right, breakout star. I got Dexter Loomis.
For wrestling, it's Dexter Loomis. Okay,
Yeah.
good pick.
And for MMA, I actually do got Kevin Holland as well.
I kind of figured Kevin Holland was going to be the unanimous here, but
yeah. But first,
all right, Corey, go ahead.
Oh, I'm saying, as far as a woman, I got Deanna Purrazzo.
Ooh. All right, I have no problem with that pick either because she did a great job as women's champion. Corey, real quick, and last but not least,
real quick, Kevin Holland, across the board, unanimous, winner, chicken dinner. On the women's side, I feel like things got a little quiet because she got injured towards the end of the year. She's already got a fight booked again, but Amanda Ribas, the Brazilian smiley chick that everybody fell in love with during the middle of the year during the quarantine. That's my breakout star on the women's side.
All right. Well, there you have it. That's 2020. 2021's got to be a better year, and Devin already is trying to win best T-shirt of 2021. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Check us out next Tuesday and every Tuesday at 9 p.m. And who knows, in 2021, you just may see some more of the other two faces you see on the screen. Fellas, it was great to have you back. 3 of the original 4 with Corey, and we'll see you in 2021. Peace.
Deuces.